to the second episode of Mike's Noisebox. I'm your host, Mike, KB3BYJ. As you can see this week, I've changed up the beginning intro some, and I think I'm going to keep changing it up until I can come up with something new and better. I have a few segments in tonight's episode that could be considered a little controversial to some people, but they are things that I want to talk about. But I thought I'd start off each episode with a segment that is ham radio related, and since I've gotten a couple of inquiries about my apartment-sized shack, I thought I'd start by doing a segment just on that. As I said in episode 1, my shack is just a desk in the back hallway of our apartment with my radios on it. But it didn't start out that way, and will probably change once I get a chance to rebuild it. I have a short slideshow of my shack that I will narrate. In this first pic, you can see what my shack first was, which was just an appliance cart with my radios and power supply on it. Unfortunately, I didn't get any pictures of what my shack looked like before the storm came through. But when it did, the roof was damaged, and I came home one day to find the inside ceiling looking like this and water dripping down on my desk. Thankfully, none of my radios were damaged, and the only thing I lost was the computer. Unfortunately, since that day, I've had to keep my radios covered with plastic bags and uncover them whenever I want to use them. Fortunately for me, the roof has been patched, and now it no longer leaks, and eventually will be replaced by the landlord. Now it's just a matter of getting the inside ceiling replaced and then redoing my desk. I'm powering my radios by the extension cords you see here that run from the bedroom that is on the other side of the hallway. Possibly when we rebuild, I may run outlets actually out there for the radios. Here's a picture of my radios and power supply, how they're currently shown underneath the plastic bags. The radio that I use from my HF and for some of my 2 meters is the Yaesu radio that you can see here. Even though it is a QRP rig with only 5 watts out, I actually have a lot of success with it. I also have several HTs, one of which you can see here on my desk, that I use for 2 meters and other purposes. For antennas, I have a 2 meter J-pole that was purchased by my dad off of eBay, and he has lent to me until I can get a better 2 meter antenna. I also use a quarter wave mag mount 2 meter antenna that used to be on my car years ago and was brought inside, and since it has a BNC connection on it, it works great with my HTs. For HF use, I have a long wire G5RV antenna, which is pictured here, but it's extremely difficult to see. My biggest reason for choosing this antenna is because I have restrictions on what kind of antennas can be out given to me by my landlord. And a G5RV just looks like a wire running from the back alley like all the other power cable lines that come in. So that's my ham shack in its current form. As I make changes to it and eventually rebuild it, I'll take pictures and videos and do a follow-up segment when the time comes. My next segment for this episode is what's being called, quote, the war on Thanksgiving, which that alone bothers me. Why does everything have to be a, quote, war on something? Are the stores really trying to, quote, destroy Thanksgiving, or is it just another natural progression of how the sales go? Personally, that is what I think it is, just a natural progression, and it's up to society to either accept it or not accept it. It all started with Black Friday. Black Friday is the time when businesses go from the red, or losing money financially, and into the black, or making money. The name Black Friday was originally used in approximately 1961 in Philadelphia and started really catching on around 1975. But it wasn't until around the year 2000 that stores really started getting extremely into Black Friday, opening extra early and running these outrageous doorbuster sales. It has been because of a lot of these Black Friday doorbuster sales that there has been a lot of violence and even deaths that have occurred. And it's because of these doorbuster sales and all these extremely good sales that there's a lot of violence and even some deaths that have happened every year on Black Friday. And every time we hear about these in the news, people start to protest it and start to always argue that maybe we should not do Black Friday shopping. Since that time, we've then progressed to Cyber Monday and now into Small Business Saturday. In 2003 and 2004, businesses started to see a growing trend in businessmen and women shopping online on the Monday after Thanksgiving when they get back into the office. The businesses weren't dumb. They quickly capitalized on this and started running online sales and started drawing people in, and eventually named it Cyber Monday. This was quickly adopted as a new shopping day for Americans and another great way for them to just save money and get a great deal. In 2010, the American Express Company came up with an idea they called Small Business Saturday, which encouraged people to shop at their local small businesses instead of the big box chain stores. In the short time since then, it seems like no one knows where the concept of Small Business Saturday came from. Most think it was started by a small group of businesses that thought it up and came together as a way to draw business into them. But in reality, it was just started by a major corporation. But again, it was something that was openly accepted by the general public, and the name caught on and has now become another great shopping experience. Now we move ahead to 2012 and 2013, in which time stores have started opening on Thanksgiving Day, and now it seems like everyone is outraged and saying that they should boycott the stores that are open on Thanksgiving and send them a message and tell them that they should allow their employees to spend time with their families. But have these businesses gone too far? Well, that is something that is honestly yet to be seen. The media is already trying to name Thanksgiving Day as either Gray Thursday or Brown Thursday because they feel these terms describe the fact that businesses are starting to come out of the red and move into the black, but they're not quite there yet. If people accept these names, then the stores will continue to open on Thanksgiving Day, and we will soon start to see either Gray or Brown Thursday sales. If people aren't willing to accept this, and if most people don't come out and shop, then the stores will begin to get the hint and will eventually start to not open on Thanksgiving again. So how can we stop this quote war on Thanksgiving? Well, that can be done by not shopping there on Thanksgiving Day. We don't have to overly boycott the stores and not shop there at all. Yes, that would help to send a message, but really we just need to keep letting them know each year that we are not willing to go out and shop on Thanksgiving Day. Eventually, again, the stores will get the hint and they will stop opening on Thanksgiving, and then their employees will be allowed to spend their time with their family. The next segment I want to do is one on all the zero tolerance rules that schools have put in place. Are they necessary or are they just going overboard? It seems like every time there is a mass school shooting or some other kind of school tragedy, they add some sort of new zero tolerance rule. Mass school shootings have sadly been going on for over a century now. The first reported one that I could find took place right here in Pennsylvania in 1764. There have been several school shootings throughout the 1800s and the early 1900s. It was during the 1900s that there seemed to be a huge increase in all the mass shootings. But in all of these cases, no one ever felt the need to start putting in place stricter rules or zero tolerance policies. It wasn't until April 20th, 1999, and the Columbine mass shooting, that people started pushing for these zero tolerance rules. But even in the case of Columbine, it was proven that this wouldn't have helped. In almost all of these cases, it was either someone who was reported as being quiet or shy and often bullied, but never showed any signs of committing a crime like they did, or it was someone from outside the school, and where a zero tolerance policy inside the school just wouldn't have helped. In recent news, there have been some examples of how zero tolerance rules, in my mind, have gone too far. The first one is that of a 6-year-old boy in Colorado. In this case, the boy was suspended and charged with sexual harassment, and all he did was kiss a female student on the cheek. It was only after a major outcry from everybody locally and nationally that the school eventually dropped the charges and allowed the student to come back to school. But this will always affect him, and who knows what it will cause for him in his life down the road. A second case took place right here in Pennsylvania. A 10-year-old boy was suspended for using an imaginary bow and arrow. In this case, the boy made a bow and arrow gesture with his hands towards a friend while they were playing. It was seen by a teacher, and based on the school's zero tolerance policy, he was suspended. Yes, it was only for one day, but again, who knows how it will affect the child's future and his chances to get into a decent college. The third case is that of a 17-year-old boy who was again suspended for sexual harassment. In this case, he hugged one of his teachers. To him, it was just an innocent hug. He just thought, a hug might help, but it didn't. It landed him with a year-long suspension and could jeopardize his college plans. According to the teacher, he was warned about hugging in the past, but the student says he was never warned. In this case, I do have a short clip of the video surveillance seen here. To me, this does just look like an innocent hug, but you can clearly see the teacher pushing him away. But should he have been suspended for a year? I don't think so. And many who have seen this video agree that he should not. I totally understand the need for rules and why people have their fears in this day and age, but I honestly think a zero tolerance policy is going too far. Please feel free to leave your comments on this for me, and maybe in the future I will revisit it. Thank you for watching the second episode of Mike's Noisebox. I hope you enjoyed it and that you will return for all the future episodes. Again, your comments and suggestions are welcome. Please feel free to leave them either on my Facebook page at www.facebook.com/kb3byj or on my YouTube page at www.youtube.com/user/kb3byj. Again, thank you for viewing this episode.